pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Irby? Here. Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Wassinger? Here. Councilmember Gray? Councilmember Dolan?
Here.
Councilmember Tracus?
Present.
Councilmember Harder?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
I move for approval of the journal of the meeting of January 16th, 2018.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Journal's approved. We have no bid openings tonight, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, there are no tax compromises, zoning matters, or road and bridge matters this evening. We will move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 2.
Hold on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 3.
Receive, file, and county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion for item number 4.
Item number 5, 4th District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 6, 2nd District.
Same motion, and that will be the order.
Item number 7, 3rd District.
Receive, file, and refer to the council as a committee of the whole, please.
So ordered. We'll schedule a committee of the whole meeting on this topic for next week.
Item number 8, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, please.
So ordered.
Item number 9.
Same motion, and that will be the order.
Item number 10, all districts.
Receive and file, and that will be the order. Please read the add-ons.
There are no add-ons this evening.
Report of county executive.
Nothing further?
Report of special committees.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered. Public forum.
Mr. Chair, we have 9 speakers this evening.
Thank you. When your name is called, please approach the podium and give your name and address for the record, and try and keep your comments to 3 minutes. First speaker.
Our first speaker is Lynn LeBeau. Thank you.
Dear council members, my name is Lynn LeBob, and I am a resident of unincorporated St. Louis County, District 6. What is bothersome to me is the lack of fiscal responsibility in our county government. When I see that you have spent $35,000 to put up a monstrous blinding marquee sign at the Afton Community Center. Gary Bess of St. Louis County Parks indicated that it was advertising for the Afton Community Center. Seriously, are you kidding me? We know it's there. How much does it cost when you send out the very expensive St. Louis County marketing event brochures letting us know where the community center is, county classes, dates, and times? The monstrous sign blinds the neighbors in the community traveling down Mackenzie and Afton, which creates a safety issue. Again, what a true waste of dollars, but none of you care about the wasteful habits of the county. We do have a few, however, that are bullied and threatened by a recall effort when a member doesn't fall in line with an unethical leader, a leader's agenda. I have an idea on how to show you how to budget. I suggest taking a family of 4 in the Afton area where the mother and father with children budget for the month while living paycheck to paycheck. I bet they can show you exactly how to budget while you are foolishly spending and stealing our hard-earned money. Did you get bids? Did you get 3 bids? I say $5,000 I can get you for the sign, and that's on the high side. I'm very good at spotting BS in the county, and I'm even better when I kissed the Blarney Stone in Ireland several years ago. I am an American patriot who wants to restore constitutional government to our land, who wants to see big government cut back its rightful small government boundaries, who wants a nation once again united under the banner of faith and freedom. I am working for fiscal responsibility and a place of out-of-control spending, and for limited government as established by our Constitution. It's time for the out-of-touch establishment to go. Elections are where we, the people, can fire politicians who don't abide by the Constitution, who don't support our liberty, or the right to life, or the right of an entrepreneur to follow his dream, start a business unhindered by burdensome regulation and crushing taxes. Dismissing the rights of the community while backroom negotiation with developers and small businessmen play to pay politics that has encumbered our county government and everything else. I actually suggest that the contributions made to the county executive go back to the coffer to pay for the signage and not taxing the citizens any more money. It's time to take back our local, state, and federal government so that once again represents a land of government subsidies, of a land not of government subsidies and patronage and welfare dependency, but of an individual spirit, drive, initiative, not of government direction, but of individual responsibility, not of tax-fed political bureaucrats. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lynn.
Our next speaker is Kara Braxton.
Good evening. My name is Kara Braxton. I reside at 19 Connolly Drive, St. Louis, Missouri, 135. I am an accountant 3 at St. Louis County Justice Services. I wanted to come tonight after the last meeting last year. The environment at Justice Services January 1st was jubilee. Not because it was a new year with fresh starts, fresh beginnings, and New Year's resolutions, but because 258 employees received 16 to 22% increases. Then there were 56 upset and unhappy that were left out who were deemed only to receive 3%. However, we managed to successfully maintain our professional demeanors, and we chose to dig in for the fight of equality and fairness that yet lies before us, which has me here tonight. Most of us have decided to start a grievance process that was sent straight to legal. How does an acting director respond truthfully what really happened at the bargaining tables behind closed doors? So the response for her then becomes simple. Your grievance is not grievable on the basis that you can't grieve pay. I can't undo what Herb Burnson, the former director, did. So how do you complain to the acting director who was part of the administration that received her 16% and did not fight for us to get the same? How do you grieve an acting personnel director that changed the rules to accommodate those increases? How do you grieve a civil service commission that approved those increases and reclassifications to accommodate those increases? How do you grieve a county executive's office that said that was all we needed? You can't. It seems all for naught. They're not going to backpedal on their meetings before the meeting's decisions. So that lands me here before you all. What is disgusting about this is that the very administration that would not support its corrections officers in getting pay increases rolled on the backs and used those same corrections officers to get their 16% in reclassifications with the Prop P monies. Everyone deserved a raise. Rules should not have to be bent in order for that to happen for our current administration. So now our job classes are all out of whack. Jobs that never require degrees are equal to jobs that require degrees. The civilian police workers fought, and the chief fought with them, and they received 79%. The prosecuting attorney employees fought, and Bob McCullough fought with them, and they all received 9%. I want to know why the 56 of us can't get what was deemed appropriate for our administration, 10 to 16%. We're not grieving pay. We are grieving self-serving and unethical behavior that only has one solution, given to us what is due to us, the same 10 to 16%. I recall in the meeting in this very room before the holiday break said the directors can come back to this council and ask for more money, which can include raises. I just have one question. Is that a request that an acting director can make?
Mr. Chair, that's 3 minutes.
If not, then who? So we can talk to the right people that can make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mary Hopeland.
Hi, my name is Mary Holtland, and I live at 104 Merrimack Ridge Drive in Fenton, Missouri. I'm a resident of District 3 and a mental health provider for corrections medicine. If I look familiar, it's because I spoke to you on December 5th about Proposition P. I see that since then, several staff in the prosecuting attorney's office were granted 9% raises from the Proposition P funds, which the voters intended for public safety officers. I'd like to list a few of the positions in that office getting 9%. System support analyst, IT supervisor, secretary, office service rep, accounting service specialist, and volunteer coordinator. Can someone explain to me how these positions are classified as public safety officers, yet your entire corrections medicine staff is not? The Buzz Westfall Justice Center cannot function without corrections medicine. We've already presented inarguable facts indicating we are public safety officers, so my question is, what needs to happen that we're a part of this funding? It seems to me that the Proposition P funds are being distributed in an inconsistent and illogical manner. For example, a case manager for Justice Services got 3%, but a case manager in the prosecuting attorney's office got 9%. Meanwhile, the clinical social workers also in the Justice Center, working with the same clients, got nothing just because we work for the health department. How does this make sense? Another example is the huge disparity in the percentages awarded to those fortunate enough to have been included at all. The pay increases awarded range from 3% to well over 20%. What criteria was used to determine what positions classified as public safety officers are more deserving than others? It appears these decisions were made in an arbitrary manner instead of using civil service standards. Is this even ethical? It's pretty simple. Either a position meets the criteria as a public safety officer or it doesn't. Any positions that do should all be entitled to the same increase of percentage of pay. I cannot emphasize enough the sense of injustice felt by the staff in your Justice Center. Please distribute these funds in the manner your voters intended, fairly and consistently. Please do the right thing by including corrections medical staff. We put our lives at risk to serve a dangerous population too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bryce Kirkland.
My name is Bryce Kirkland. I live at Creve Coeur, Missouri. I was here around Thanksgiving to talk about Proposition P, about the raises, and about what I do. I've been to budget meetings, I've been to civil service meetings, personnel, I've been to council meetings. I asked you guys to look into this matter before the budget was passed, and I understand you had a fiscal responsibility and you had to go ahead and move forward. However, now, I've been here over 10 years, been promoted. This was my dream. And now a brand new CEO walking in the door is making more money than me. I don't know what we can do. You heard her, we filed grievances. They said it's not grievable. I mean, we're at loss. It's kind of hard to come to work nowadays, knowing that a brand new CEO is making more money than you. I told you the organization structure. There's 150 CEOs, 27 lieutenants, 27 caseworkers, and then there's 10 captains, 7 unit managers, 3 superintendents. Everybody at the bottom got at least 16 to 22. Everybody at the top got 16. We were left out. I've called you a couple times, Sam Page. Got my first response today from your secretary. I've been trying to follow the chain of command. Steve Singer, I don't know if you have an open door policy, but I would be more than willing to come talk to you as well, or any of you. It is what it is, but hopefully we can get this matter fixed soon. I don't blame our director at this point. She's only been in office 23 days. but you said right before the last meeting before Christmas that we could come, so it's up to the department head, and they could come back and ask for more money. So hopefully we do this fit. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Thelma Hall Gordon.
Whenever you-
Good evening. My name is Thelma Hall Gordon. I work for St. Louis County Corrections Medicine. I've worked there approximately 16 years, another 2 years for the county clinics. I'm a bit confused because I have worked there and we all work together there. Regardless to where we report in the building of corrections medicine, well, in the building of justice services, we all work together to get the job done. The clientele we work with and that we support are all the same, but it feels very strange that we're not all being treated on an equal fashion. Proposition P seemingly was developed and set aside for helping and working with and being seen as people who work for public safety. I am a mental health provider. The population I work with can be always dangerous, and I feel like whatever benefits are being put across the board should be spread equally and fairly. And at this point, I'm not feeling that way, and it kind of makes it difficult to report to work when there's such large inequities being performed right before your eyes. So I ask you guys, in honesty and sincerity, please take a good look at this and be fair about it, because right now I'm not seeing it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next speaker is Marquita Fletcher.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Marquita Fletcher, and I reside in St. Louis County. I'm a registered medical assistant in the Justice Center at the jail. Can you please give me a few minutes of your time to explain why we are public safety officers? We have to go in the jail every day and deal with inmates face to face. One of our jobs is to do wound clinic, and we have to be in exam rooms with the inmates, sometimes with the door closed due to the wounds that they have. We're doing wounds, your hands are busy, and you're focused on wounds not necessary to inmates, so sometimes you are in compromising positions, and we do not have anything to protect ourselves. Also, when we're drawing blood and other things that you're not really paying attention to. And I want to give you an example of an incident that happened a couple of weeks ago where officers in the clinic had to subdue an unruly inmate. The clinic was full of inmates being seen by correction medicine staff. I asked one of my co-workers to push the emergency button. It didn't work the first time, so I ran over, pushed the button, directed the inmates to go into an empty cell and close the door so the situation can be better controlled. And it was also a female out there, and I wanted to make sure that she was safe. So I want to, and I believe that if I had not stopped in, the situation could have been a lot worse. Inmates could have crept down the hall to watch, or they could have got involved. We are a team, correction medicine and justice service. We're a team with two different departments. We are public safety officers for the Department of Health. The correction medicine staff are the only St. Louis County employees working at the jail who did not receive a raise from the Prop P physician funds. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kirsten Bullock. Our next speaker is Kirsten Bullock.
My name's Kirsten Bullock. I'm a licensed practical nurse at the Bethesda Westfall Justice Center. I've been employed there for approximately a year and a half. According to the legal definition on uslegal.com, the federal definition of a public safety officer is someone who services a public agency in official capacity, with or without compensation, such as a law enforcement officer, as a firefighter, as a chaplain, or as a member of a rescue squad or ambulance crew. Rescue squad, that's what basically we are as nurses. We're first responders within the jail. Some of our responses have included, but not limited to, suicide attempts, seizures, chest pains, and even drug overdoses. We promptly assess the complaint and respond with appropriate action. Often we make the difference of survival prior to an ambulance arrival. We service patients who are less desirable than some public patients in hospitals, nursing homes, anything like that. We often suffer verbal and sometimes physical abuse by the very lives we are there to care for. So as a legally defined public safety officer, I ask, why weren't we included in the property fund? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jane Stevens.
Good evening, County Council. My name is Jane Stevens, and I reside in District 7. I am a nurse at the Buzz Westfall Justice Center. I work for Corrections Medicine. I've worked for St. Louis County for almost 19 years. Many of my coworkers were here to speak during the public forum on December 5th. They spoke about our role in public safety and as first responders. The bottom line is the jail cannot run without Corrections Medicine. Does anyone know what would happen if the intake nurses didn't show up one day? Does anyone know what the intake corrections nurses do? The intake nurses give the stamp of approval for confinement in the jail. They decide whether an arrestee is fit for confinement. Only the nurse can make that determination, not the police officer, not justice services, no one else. With no nurse available to assess arrestees, no one can be booked. This responsibility sits solely with the corrections medicine nurse. It can be daunting. No nurse would mean no admission to the facility. Do you know what that means? That means every single arrestee would have to be taken to an ER to be cleared for confinement. That means the police officer would be tied up for hours and not be able to return to the street in a timely manner. The hospital staff would be put at risk. Most importantly, this would jeopardize public safety. We made the mistake of assuming someone was fighting for us when the Proposition P funds were being allocated. No one fought for us. The corrections medicine staff was busy at the jail responding to emergencies, codes, and assessing inmates in intake efficiently and safely so that police officers could return to the street. The nurses were making sure only inmates with manageable medical and psychiatric conditions were being booked and confined to the jail. We were busy giving an arrestee Narcan in intake because he or she showed up overdosing on heroin and no one recognized that prior to their arrival. The responsibility is great. We are busy dealing with inmates who show up in intake with loaded guns. This happened last week. And thankfully, the nurse didn't have the same experience as the Arnold police officer did recently. In addition to intake and the infirmary, the corrections medicine staff have other responsibilities that cannot be assumed by any other employee in the entire jail. We are an integral part of the jail. I can't say it enough. The jail cannot run without corrections medicine staff. Why have we been excluded? I personally vaccinate all of the inmate kitchen workers against hepatitis A and B. I also provide this to the corrections officers. This is done to be in compliance with St. Louis County Ordinance 19,770. An outbreak of hepatitis A would affect the entire jail and community. The jail cannot run without the 71 inmate kitchen workers. They cook for the inmates and the staff. The entire jail population is also offered annual flu vaccinations. These are only provided by corrections medicine staff. The services we provide are essential in addition to our roles as first responders and public safety officers. It is egregious that we received no raises from Proposition P while secretaries, accountants, OSRs, volunteer coordinators from the prosecuting attorney's office all received 9% raises. Seriously? How are they contributing to public safety? The bigger question is, how can you say the corrections medicine staff does not make a significant contribution? The jail cannot run without corrections medicine. Please help us understand why we were not included for raises. I sent an email to Mr. Harder 12 days ago and have not received a response. That is why I came here tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our final speaker this evening is Diane McKenna.
Good evening. I returned tonight, I am from Council, District 6. I returned tonight to finish what I was unable to state in the January 9th meeting. But before I continue, I just want to say, in support of all the corrections medicine nurses, I do support what they request. In 2015, when I was health center manager, I was instructed to go over to the corrections medicine and spend a week over there as a manager to kind of decide what was going on over there as far as the management system goes. And I spent a week over there, and I came away from that with a daunting experience. The conditions that those nurses work under is, I challenge every one of you to take a day to go over there and look at the conditions that staff works under. I walked away and went into the restroom that one of those nurses had to go into and use. It was disgusting and filthy and dirty. And these nurses are forced to work under those conditions and work with those inmates day in and day out. I would not do it. I walked out and thought, thank God I don't have to do that for a living. So everyone of this council needs to be thankful that there are nurses who go in there day after day and work in those conditions and take on those jobs. And as I began last week and stated that you say we're not in a crisis situation when employees have not had raises in over five years. These nurses have not had those raises either. That's why they're begging for these raises for Prop B, because they are so underpaid for the conditions that they work in. So please, please give them the efforts to get them the raises that they need. So I continue tonight with what I started on January 9th. In 2015, when county executive took office, you promised a complete audit of the health department. I'm not sure what was exactly done, but it's still the same mess as it was then as it is today. When 2016, I was asked to come to the Department of Quality Improvement to work with the department, across the department, to improve clinical services and all services. I was excited and thrilled, thinking that finally, for the first time, we are going to move this baby forward into looking at how we can improve services and look at cost control. That lasted exactly 4 months. After presenting to the director and showing where we could save thousands of dollars that were being lost each month in areas specifically related to the LDI contract, the Maxim contract, purchase vaccines, iAssociates contract, the Jackson Dental contract, the SLU contract, the Patient Assistance Program, and interpretive services, my hands were slapped, and I was told that I was no longer to have any further contact or to do any further work related to those clinical initiatives.
Mr. Chair, that's 3.
Can you summarize your comments?
Am I 3 minutes already? Well, I guess I'll be back another week. What I'm saying is that we lost thousands of dollars because no one wanted to listen to what we were losing money for. I'm at a loss. What are we doing here? We have got to start looking at what we're doing and start making good business decisions. And Mr. Chairkas, I will say, you made a comment in the call one time about we need to start looking at who maybe further than just the department directors as to who you're getting information from. I don't know what the council does and what you do as far as running the departments, but somebody has, you're not getting the right information as far as what's really going on in the departments. But I'll be back, I guess, to finish later at another time, since I took time to vote for the corrections medicine. Thank you.
Thank you,
Before you
Diane.
leave, I want to encourage you to give my office a call. Be happy to sit down and talk with you at length.
Regarding what?
Any topic you want to talk.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to thank you too for taking up your time to support
You bet.
the correctional officers. And I'd just like to say that I want to go on record, they know I support them. I've said that, I've talked to them. The correctional officers as well as case managers have come, the correctional medical staff and the case management have come and told us that everybody's received a raise except them. We know that. We know what you do. We know what your job is. All of us know that. Certainly, the administration knows it. And there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with the fact that everybody's received raises except you. I think it should be addressed. I think we need answers. I'm with you on that. We need to know why everybody has received raises except the Justice Services staff,
Well, that would probably also require an analysis of why you cut $8 million from the health department.
I knew you were
Because,
going.
well, they're paid out of the health department, and that would go directly to the ability of a raise to take place. So
That's nothing at all.
it does have to do with the health budget.
That, not with Proposition P. If they supported Proposition P, they worked for the passing of Proposition P, and you will turn your back on them and not give
You
them
just
a
went
raise
through a
when
budget
everybody else
process.
has got?
If you wanted to do that, you had the opportunity to modify the
That
budget
is a
as you
cop-out.
did.
That is
No,
a cop-out.
you
And
had the
you
budget
know.
in your hands.
You
And
know.
you had the opportunity to do that.
You know.
But no, it's not.
You can keep sitting
It's
there
a
saying
cop-out for
that,
you.
but they know why
Hazel,
they didn't get a raise.
it's a cop-out for you.
Chief Belmore and,
It's a
and some of the
cop-out
other
for you.
some of the other directors recommended raises for their staff.
Hazel, I respectfully
And you-
disagree. You had the
and
budget in
you-
your hand, you made modifications
and
to it, and
you
you did not make a
Did not
modification
want
for
them
that.
to get it.
You
But
did
thankfully,
not
Chief
want them to get
Belmore
it.
has come back and got his
you.
staff. I'm sorry.
I think he's gonna keep talking over you.
Chief Belmore has come back and gotten his staff, his support staff, the raise. They have nobody to speak up for them.
Well, they had you to speak up for them, you're speaking up for them now,
Right.
but you didn't speak up for them during the budget
Yes,
when you
I
had the
did.
opportunity.
Yes, I did, and they
If
know I
you
did.
feel that way, advance a bill.
You didn't speak up for it.
Advance a bill.
You did not speak
Advance
up
a bill
for it.
from this
Because
dais.
you didn't want them,
Ad-
you didn't want the other,
Hazel,
you
if
didn't
you
want the
want to
support
advance
staff
a bill,
in the
I'll tell you
police
this right now.
department
If
to
you
get
advance a
raises.
bill
You
for
did
that,
not want
I will
them.
support it.
If we advance
If you advance a bill for that, I will support it. Absolutely. I would challenge you to that. You have my support. Seriously, you have my word. If she advances that bill, you have my support from this dais. Absolutely.
We have enough, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm good.
And I'm serious, you can hold me to that.
Okay, do we have Councilwoman Wassinger, and then we'll come back to Councilwoman Walker.
I was just going to suggest, the debate of the budget is ongoing, obviously. I think the county executive has great power, as does the legislative branch, and I hope that we can work together to resolve some of these lingering issues with the budget, because I know they are out there, and I think that we can find some common ground to work and support these people who deserve the raise. So if you are saying publicly
I am
that
saying
you
that,
will,
absolutely.
you would support a bill along those lines,
I would, I think
think we should
that,
pursue
yes, I think if you would like to advance that bill, I will support it.
Councilwoman Walton Gray, did you have a comment?
Just what I've been saying, yes, we had the budget in our hands, but it was given to us by the director. We don't research and analyze budgets. So if someone gives us a budget and they have the money in there for raises, we would have supported that.
Well, we can act now. I think we should do it now. I'm serious. You have our people out there who want it. I think we should support it now. We do the research now and do it.
Just a minute. Councilman Tracus.
I just want to make sure I understand accurately what the county executive has stated. Are you going to support a bill that requires the use of Prop P funds to provide raises to Justice Services employees? I'm sorry, corrections.
It's
I'm sorry.
corrections medicine.
I'm
We
sorry.
would have to make a determination of what fund it would come from. But what I'm telling you, as I sit here, I would support a raise for the individuals that have presented themselves here today and the class of employees that they represent. Now, whether that legally can be Proposition P funds or whether it has to be Health Department funds, that's a determination we need to be made. But I think what they're concerned with is what they claim to be disparate treatment that they've received, and they would like that rectified. And I support rectifying that.
But for the record, you're not prepared at this point to state unequivocally that you will use Prop P funds to fund those raises.
I cannot say that because I don't know if legally Proposition P funds could be used for that purpose. But I will tell you that for our purposes, it really doesn't matter which fund it comes from because there's obviously available funds available in the health department to make those raises. So, I mean, we'd have to make a determination of what pool it would come from, but I don't think that you really are concerned with which pool it comes from.
But yes, they are. Why not Prop P? They supported Prop P.
And
Prop P, they're public
we would
safety
have to,
employees.
we would have to make the legal determination of whether that's possible, and that's gonna be up to, I think, legal counsel to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying that you're not Prop P employees by any means. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, no, I'm really not. If I was, I'd say it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we'd have to make a determination of whether those funds could be legally utilized. And I think that that's a reasonable determination that can be made.
They've been legally utilized for everybody else, so why not them? They're public safety employees.
And once again, I'm not gonna debate whether Prop P can be used or not. I think it's a legal determination that has to be made. But I would absolutely support their position that they need an increase. So if you guys produce a bill, I think we can work something out.
Councilman Dolan, you had a question?
Yeah, we talked about this before, the original budget, which I assume we all studied and looked at, there was collective bargaining for the other employees, and that's basically where they came with, and the Justice Services was represented separate from the police and everybody else. We weren't part of that negotiation. That's not our place. But I've always supported, as majority of us, certainly that you need a raise, as did everybody else in Justice Services. But they weren't part of that bargaining, and whoever's your director or whoever at the time was supposed to be in charge of that didn't do it. So hopefully we can make that correct now.
He's here.
Well, now hopefully we can move forward and do what we have to do. But it wasn't the council that didn't allow this to happen. I hope you understand that.
So, Councilman Harder.
Is there a possibility that these ladies could be reclassified as jail employees and then that would fall under Prop P instead of being health department employees? Would that help?
That might help, yeah. I mean, that would be helpful. It could help. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And that might be easier than the other things because if they're working there, unless they're rotating in and out, if these, you're not, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So then they're classified that way and then that's their job.
That's a great idea.
So, Councilman Harder, I would support moving correctional medicine nurses back to the Justice Services or Public Safety budget where they were 10 or so years ago before they were moved to the Health Department. I think if we move them back to where they were originally, that would help settle some of this question.
And then we can talk about where they should be in that.
And then I guess we'll see a supplemental appropriation request for, do you know what that number would be?
I don't know offhand. We'd have to calculate that and figure that out, but we could work together to do that.
Then the next question is if we're going to address the Justice Services folks that are in the middle of both sides of the folks that got a 16 to 22% raise, what would we expect from you on that?
why don't we put our heads together and figure that out too? I think we can do that.
Any other comments?
Can we set a meeting date so nobody changes their mind?
Sure. I mean, that's not a problem.
We can have a hearing on
I
it.
think we've committed to it publicly, Hazel. I don't think there's gonna be a problem with that, unless there's a problem with you.
No,
I think it's great.
no problem with me.
Okay, this concludes our public forum. Let's proceed with the introduction of bills.
Bill number 12, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance amending ordinance number 26,845 by repealing and reenacting sections 1 and 2 pertaining to a grant from the Office of State Courts Administrator for support of the Family Courts Juvenile Alternatives to Detention Program. Bill number 13, introduced by Councilmember Tracus, an ordinance amending ordinance number 26,881 by repealing and reenacting section 3 pertaining to PC 27-17, Americo Real Estate Company, U-Haul. Bill number 14, introduced by Councilmember Tracus, an ordinance approving the application and preliminary plans for the amended development in the C8 planned commercial district of attractive land, subject to conditions, PC 39-17 DLJ Lindbergh, Freddy's Frozen Custard, and Steak Burgers. Bill number 15, introduced by Councilman Tracus, an ordinance amending the St. Louis County zoning ordinance and district maps by changing the boundaries of the R2 Residence District, the FPR2 Residence District, the C8 Planned Commercial District, and the FPC-8 Floodplain Planned Commercial District, and approving the application and preliminary plans as amended for the development in the C8 Planned Commercial District and FPC-8 Floodplain Planned Commercial District of attractive land subject to conditions, PC 40-17 Melville Fire Protection District. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Perfection bills.
Bill number 305, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold Bill number 305.
Bill number 305 will be held.
Bill number 307, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold Bill 307.
307 is held.
Bill number 350, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
Please hold.
Bill number 350 is held.
Bill number 2, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Please hold Bill number 2, and Bill number 2 is held.
Bill number 9, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Please hold Bill number 9, and Bill number 9 is held.
Bill number 11, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Please hold Bill number 11. 11 is held. Final passage.
Bill number 353, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Please hold Bill number 353. 353 will be held.
Bill number 7, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of Bill number 7.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 7, we have 7 ayes.
Bill number 7 is finally passed.
Bill number 8, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of Bill number 8.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 8, we have 7 ayes.
Bill number 8 is finally passed.
Bill number 10, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move for final passage of Bill number 10.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
I'm going to vote aye on this, although I still sympathize with the staff, the council staff, as well as the staff of the St. Louis County, that they have to kind of hang around till 6:30 for these meetings. In the summer, it's not as bad because it's still daylight. In the wintertime, it's late, it's dark. Sometimes the weather's bad, and you kind of have to sit here and wait for the meeting to start. But I'll go ahead and vote in favor, give it a chance, and let's see if the people who think we should change the time really show up. Thank you. Aye.
Councilmember Page?
I know Councilman Tracus really wanted to move this to 7 o'clock instead of 6:30, but I think this is a reasonable compromise, and I'll support Councilman Harder's bill, and I'll vote aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Similarly, I actually was going to tell my colleagues I was not in favor of this bill. I haven't gotten anyone who had a problem with the time. None of my constituents have complained about the time. I know we've had a few people who've come to the meeting that have complained, of course. Like she said, of course you're gonna have some complaints, but changing the time, I was not in favor of. Also, my colleague had an issue with the bill that I had the other day, whereas I had about 50 people come to speak in favor of additional training for police officers and different things they wanted to see happen with the police department. And that wasn't taken into consideration when the resolution came up, but we're supposed to take in consideration the 10 maybe people that speak against the time being so at 6 o'clock. But I will go ahead and, like you said, vote aye in support of the councilperson's legislation.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
We're going to require a balancing of equities here. I mean, as Chairman Page noted, when I first came here, I was supportive of the idea of 7 o'clock. And as I learned how long the day would be for county employees and staff, I was initially moved to reconsider and think that 6 was fine. But I think 6:30 is a decent compromise. I understand it lengthens the day for you folks, but as Mr. Harder has stated on a number of occasions, it is quite a hike sometimes for people from West County or North County or South County to get here in time to sign up to speak before the 6 o'clock start. So I'm going to vote aye.
Councilmember Harder?
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 10, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 10 is finally passed. Resolutions.
Mr. Chair, we have no resolutions this evening. I think Councilwoman Hazel Irby wants to
Oh, I'm sorry.
make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to be added as a co-sponsor to resolution number 6254, which was introduced by Councilwoman Gray and adopted by the council on January 16, 2018.
So ordered.
Moving on to unfinished business, item number 1.
Please hold on the order of business. Same motion for item number 2, and both of these will be held.
Item number 3.
I'll hold on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Mr. Chair, moving to new business, we have 3 prepared orders.
I move to hold on orders number 1 and 2.
Orders number 1 and 2 will be held. Some of these deal with some records, and we just need to check and make sure none of these are subject to any sunshine requests before we destroy them.
And I move for adoption of order number 3.
Second. All in favor of adoption of order number 3?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Order number 3 is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.